excited, y'all. It's Women's History Month. We are rocking and rolling. We are taking no prisoners, honey. Let me tell you, the women that we have coming on for y'all for this month are awesome. And so just for you that may be tuning in for the first time and never has spent a lot of time with me, I am Coach Deborah Franklin. I am the host of Conversations with Deborah Franklin, and also, yes, that way, the owner of Deborah Franklin Publishing. So for all your publishing needs, you need to reach out, inbox, holler at your girl. Yeah, I had to give, if I don't pat my own self, look, it's a poor dog that won't wag his own tail. I'm just saying. But for those of you, y'all, for this Women's History Month, our goal was to feature dynamic, awesome on women entrepreneurs, high achieving entrepreneurs that are conquering their field, their area of expertise. They are showing up and showing out, and let them drop some knowledge on you and be able to get some additional exposure to, because I promise you, this is what I've been telling everybody, is that during this series, you are going to find somebody is going to speak to you that within your heart that you're going to have to work with them, because they are the answer to your problem. That's really what this whole series is about. Yes, we are here to feature these dynamic and awesome women, but most of all, to help you reach that next level in your expertise. And keep watching, keep taking notes, because somebody is going to be who you need to connect with. Well, all right, y'all. I got our next guest. I'm ready to hear from her. I'm ready to just jump right on in here. And we have Miss Rashia Nicole. What's up, girl? What's up?
Hello, beautiful, beautiful Coach Deborah. How are you?
I am awesome, awesome, awesome. So glad that you took the initiative to join us and you said yes to come on and hanging out with us. So let's just jump right in. I'm asking this question to everybody. Tell everybody who you are, but most of all, why do you do what you do?
Wonderful. Well, first of all, sweetheart, I definitely want to give it back to you, Coach Deborah, for your awesome and amazing platform. What you doing in the earth is really, really exemplifying and impacting so many women. And so thank you so much for counting it out, Robbie, to ask me to come and share just a few moments of my time and my journey with the people. So definitely want to give it back to you. My name is Rashia Nicole Barbee, and I am super elated to be here today. I live in North Carolina. I am an entrepreneur. I am a mother of 4 boys. I am a final expense specialist. I am a pastor. Most of all, I am a woman, right? And so I am a woman that loves to encourage by example, right? I don't do a bunch of talking, but I try to every day in the earth to live an example and do things in the earth that will encourage other women, to let them know that no matter what you face in life, no matter what your journey has did, well, no matter what stops, delays, and deters your journey has exemplified to you, you can and you will if you just first believe in your God, and then secondly, believe in yourself that you can. So that's simply who I am.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited that during this series, I have been meeting a lot of pastors, which has been so cool, because I'm so excited about the women that are in leadership, that are stepping out and showing the people that they are more than what's behind the pulpit, that they are very vibrant in their businesses and in their families. And wait a minute, let me go ahead.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
They need to take up an offering just for your grocery bill. I'm just saying, I put it out there in the atmosphere.
Right.
So one thing that I saw that I was really questioning, what exactly is a final expense? What does that mean? What does that mean that you do?
Absolutely. So, typically we hear the term life insurance agent, and that's what I am. And I've been certified. I've been licensed through the state of North Carolina. I'm also licensed in the state of Georgia, Virginia, Maryland, DC, and New Jersey. And so what that means is that I'm not just a life insurance agent, but a final expense specialist is truly what it is. I prepare you to get ready for those final expenses. Because one thing about it, none of us like to talk about it, but we all got a birthday. But we also all got a death date. We all know when our birthday is, but we don't know when our death date is coming. And when that death date comes, there's going to be people that are left behind to deal with your final expenses. Just because you die doesn't mean that you won't have final expenses. So what I do is I specialize in making sure that people have an immediate funding plan in the area of life insurance that will pay out benefits to their family members or to their beneficiary within 24 hours of their death. To one, take care of that funeral, right? Because we've heard a lot of stories about people going away from here, and families have had to do the chicken dinners, they've had to do the hot dog dinners, and then the one that bores my soul is the GoFundMe accounts, right? So I'm a final expense specialist in the earth that has resources that can pay your family out within 24 hours of death, whole life benefit up to $35,000. Your rate does not change. And guess what? I qualify anybody. So it don't matter what type of health issues you have. It doesn't matter what you've gone through in your journey. I can qualify anybody. I don't deny anybody. And my carrier is Lincoln Heritage, and we qualify anybody to make sure that those final expenses are taken care of. Not only that, we also add funeral planning benefits in it as well. So we help cut down the cost of funerals. So there's more money in the pocket of your beneficiary to take care of all of your final expenses.
I love it. I love it because you already know that was going to be my next question about, because so many times people, and I'm just going to say it how I feel it.
Yeah.
People in our community, we fail. Now, our older generation, they had the funeral plans, they had the plots, they had all that because they had the people knocking on the door. And so they had that. But when you look at that generation after that, and then our generation, we really don't tap into that whole life insurance piece. And so when we have aging parents, that, let's just be real. They're in their 70s. They don't have a policy. They have health challenges. So how do you work around that as well?
Wonderful. Perfect question, because our market we really focus on the senior market because they are the baby boomers, right? And they are in that point in their life. Like you said, they're in their 70s, they're in their 65 plus, and they're at that age where they're thinking about, I might not be here always, right? But the sad case of it is that most of them, 64% of our US population, does not have any coverage. And so at that point, we make sure that we work with them to get them some type of coverage. As a senior are on fixed incomes. They cannot afford a lot. So I go in the gate with them saying, listen, Ms. Jones, I realize that you're 70 plus and you're working off of your Social Security, and that might not be but $900 a month. But what I can do for you is I can get you qualified. And if you tell me, hey, all I can afford is $50 a month, I'm going to find you a plan for $50 a month. And guess what, Ms. Jones? You can always increase it later. But here's my problem. I'm here, you have a problem, and I'm here to bring the solution. You have no coverage right now, or you have coverage, but it's not going to be enough, because an average funeral is about $7,000 to $12,000 right now. And that's going to increase as inflation hits us. So, Ms. Jones, I'm going to give you the policy that you can afford. And then if you want to afford more later and your situation changes later, we will do that. But I work with people where they are. I don't try to put a senior in a $20,000 policy that their premium is going to be $200 a month because they can't afford that. Now, if they tell me they can afford that, great. But I'm always looking out for the budget of my seniors. Not only my seniors, but we cover anyone from the ages 0 to 85. So my young people, my millennials that are not thinking about, that thinking they're going to live forever, the hearse roll is rolling for ages 0 to 15 to 10 to 20. It doesn't matter the age. Death doesn't have an age. So I want all people to understand that I have the resource to cover them at affordable rates.
I love it. I love it. I love it because, so many times it's, again, I can't keep it just, in our community, we fail to have those real conversations about
Mm-hmm.
death. And then when they do die, we are, girl, and I'm with you. Them GoFundMe's, I'm like, really? That's all I can
Mm-mm.
say, really. And
Right.
then when you get in those emails, let's just say if you still involved in your church, you get in the email,
Yes.
sister such and such can't pay, they need some help. I mean, I get it if I need to bring a box of chicken for the repast, but
Right.
come on. It's just getting really ridiculous at that. So even when we are looking at, let's say, let's go back with our Miss Jones, who's in her 70s, who
Mm-hmm.
is on a fixed income, how would that policy be enough if she just went with that basic policy to cover those basic expenses? And then how do you deal with those, and then just really, how do I deal with those basic expenses? Because, and then cremation versus burial, how,
Mm-hmm.
that's really real now as well, because when you start looking at expenses, from my understanding, cremation is still cheaper than digging the hole. And I'm
Yes.
just gonna say it real plain because that's how I
Mm-hmm.
feel it today.
Yep. Yep. It
So
is. I mean,
how do we
cremation.
make those decisions?
Right. So when I go in and I talk with my clients, I ask them, one of the questions I ask them, I do like a little interview with them and kind of get to know them. I just don't go straight in for a sale because I'm not an insurance agent. I'm a final expense specialist, but I'm licensed to write life insurance policy. So I go in, build a relationship with them and ask them, okay, Miss Jones, one day you're not going to be here. But what we're doing right now allows your voice to still be heard from the grave, if you will. So we go in and we ask them questions like, do you want a traditional funeral? Keeping in mind, Miss Jones, a traditional funeral is going to run you about $7,000 to $12,000. Or Miss Jones, do you want a cremation? A lot of people are leaning more towards cremation because it is cheaper. Cremation right now is going to run you about $1,500 to $3,000, depending on if you want a whole memorial service. True story. My mother passed away in 2018. I had Lincoln Heritage and I also had Nationwide, but she wrote out to me what she wanted. In January of 2018, my mother called me and said, meet me over at the bank because I need to add you to my accounts. March 2018, my mother left from here unexpectedly, right? But she had all this outlined. She told me my mother had end-stage renal disease. She told me, she said, I do not want to be buried. I want to be cremated. And she wrote it down in her black book. When you become my client, I don't have one handy here, but I give you a black book and it's called a My Final Wishes book, where you're able to write down to your beneficiary what you want, right? So she said, I want to be cremated and this is what I want. I still had a funeral for my mother, so I rented a casket. We dressed her, and after the funeral, she went to the crematory to get cremated, right? So I asked my clients, what do you want? Let's I know it's a painful subject, but I like to make death talk easy. Let's make this easy for little Bobby or little Jan, who's going to have to take care of these expenses and these arrangements when you're no longer here, but your voice is still going to speak. So I give them the hypotheticals. I give them the quotes of what it's going to cost now. And the beautiful thing about our plans at Lincoln Heritage is that they're inflation proof. So if you get a $5,000 plan because you say, hey, I just want a cremation and want to leave my family a little bit left over to take care of any final expenses, then you've got enough, right? Because it's going to protect you against the inflation. If you say, hey, I want a traditional funeral, but you can only afford a $10,000 policy, that's fine too. We go in and advocate with the funeral home to make sure that the funeral home does not upcharge you and your family for what you want, right? If you've got $10,000, now the difference between having a policy in your hand when you go to the funeral home and a check, cash is always going to speak louder than the policy. You may have a policy, but then if you go take your policy to the funeral home, guess what? The policy got to be checked and verified that policy is not lapsed, that policy was still enforced at the time of death, as opposed to us, you got to check. Your beneficiary has a check in their hand and they get to go to the funeral home and say, my mother wanted a cremation. My father wanted a traditional funeral. This is the money that I have. Tell me what I can get for this. Tell me how much your funeral services are going to cost, and then I will give you the money to take care of this, as opposed to me handing you a policy and we got to go through all the red tape to figure out if that policy is even going to pay out.
Honey, you killing it today, literally, and no pun intended.
Come on.
Because you are putting things so simple and so easy for us to understand. And I love this, because a lot of times when we do talk about death, we do talk about cremation, we do talk about funerals, we get all mushy and all that kind of emotional. But I thank you, and I appreciate that whole black book. And so 9 times out of 10 we're gonna have to connect, because we are probably in that same situation as a lot of people. Being a child of a baby boomer, you know how we are. But you know, and this is such a very needed subject and topic for us to talk about, and in time. So I got one last question for you. When you hear Church Girl CEO, what does that mean to you?
First of all, I love it. I love that name, Church Girl CEO, because when I think of that name, Coach Deborah, I think and I see myself. I see myself as one who was reared in the church, right? My grandmother, my mother, they took me to church. My father's a minister. They took me to church, right? But let me just say this. I really didn't learn what church was until I got an adult and I went through a couple of things. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. I really didn't understand what church was really about until I went through some things that almost took me out, but a God raised me up. Because really for me, church is not church. It's not the building. Church is us. And when I think about the term church CEO girl, that basically says to me is that I am a woman that God has fearfully and wonderfully made me. He created me in his own image. And therefore, he gave me dominion in the earth to arise. That's my word, arise, and go and conquer and do everything, every gift, every talent that he has given me in this earth to go and share it with the world. Because that's what church is. It's not about the building. Church is about going to disciple all nations. Church is about sharing the gospel and sharing that Jesus saves. And if my final expense business, if my final expense network, if my final expense resources, I'm also a certified life recovery coach. If that can serve as a purpose in the earth, then that is what church CEO girl sounds like and looks like to me. It actually looks like that I'm saved. I'm filled with something that's greater than me. I'm filled with a purpose that's greater and bigger than me. And because he gave that to me, and because he put gifts and talents into me, he didn't put it into me for me to sit on them. He put them into me for me to go and manifest them and execute them out here in the earth, that others would be blessed, that others would be delivered, that others would be set free. Mine is final expense, because one day we all gonna die. And one day you're gonna need what I got. So he put that in me so that I could arise and be that church girl CEO, but bring him to them. Come on.
You better tell it, honey, because I love it. I love it. I love it, because that is exactly the epitome of what a church girl CEO is. Is that we are the epitome of greatness. We arise to the occasion no matter what is going on. Yes, indeed. I thank you for joining us. I thank you for being a part of. Wait a minute, before I even do all of that, please tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, how they can use your services. You know, if they just got questions, how can they get them answered?
Wonderful, definitely. So I can be reached. I'm on all social media platforms. On Facebook, I'm Rashia Barbee, Barbee. I have a business page on Facebook, Arise Den LLC. My website is www.ariseden.com, and my IG handle is AriseDen17. You can also reach me via 919-391-3595. I just met with my administrator this morning, and we're getting ready to put away on my website that if you go to my website and you want a consultation, that you'll be able to fill out a form and reach out to us, and we will schedule you via our Calendly resource. That way you get directly on my calendar and your time is your time. Listen, I'm here to help you arise in every area that I can, because if you've ever been stuck in a place, you can cause and help people arise. So those are the ways that you can get in contact with me. I would love to connect and serve you and your families.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I thank you again so much for being here with us today, taking out your time to share your expertise with our audience. Well, y'all know how we do. It's been fun. It's been real. I love you to life, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great one.